Hi, so it's Kim here. And with today being Valentine's Day, I thought that it would only be appropriate that we would talk about love. But maybe not love in the traditional way that we talk about love, maybe in a way that maybe is new to you. So today we're going to talk about love in terms of unity consciousness. And this may be like a new concept, or maybe just the term unity consciousness is new. But unity consciousness is basically this idea that you are part of everything and everything is a part of you. And it's kind of the principle that if you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself. And it includes even things like the environment or animals or anything that in our living space. If we're hurting it, we're hurting ourselves. And the flip side of that is if we're loving it, we're loving ourselves. And when you talk about love in the context of unity consciousness, if you're talking about a couple, or even a group, love goes beyond the individual. So yes, like maybe I can say, I love you, I have love for you, but it's really this idea that goes beyond the individual, goes beyond the self, goes beyond the I and the you. And it's really kind of pulling from this like endless pool of love, and then sharing it. And I had gone to this retreat, and one of the things that I'm still kind of wrapping my brain around was the facilitator was talking about how like we a lot of times we think that the attachment wound is things that happened with mommy or daddy, or our first heartbreak, or and he was explaining that the first separation wound, the first attachment wound, is actually the forgetting that you are love. And I don't mean that you are loved as in like something loves you. I mean that you are the source of love, and that love comes from you. It's like my reference is going to be the Bible, because that's what I know, that's what I grew up in. But I think this is common to all religions or different spiritual traditions, where they talk about you're made in the image of God. And this is what I think that means, is that God is this unconditional love. When we talk about the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, maybe our human mothers and our human fathers, they don't always get it right. Humans don't always get it right because they're human. But this unconditional love that exists in this unity consciousness, it's the it's you become one. And instead of loving them because they've done something, or loving them because they're a certain way, or they meet certain conditions or certain criteria, like check, you meet this criteria, therefore I love you, or we've made a commitment to each other, therefore we love each other. It's really opening up this into this consciousness, and realizing that our hearts are so big, and we are so full of love, and that we can love everyone around us. And that may mean different things. I think boundaries are sometimes needed, boundaries are sometimes healthy. But that means that when we talk about even forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about going, I'm going to let go of the energy that is wrapped up in whatever happened. And there's we come to this neutral place where you can say, okay, like, yes, this happened, and maybe yes, you did this, but I'm no longer letting this energy control me or influencing me. And I'm coming from a place of love, where I hope that you can heal whatever it is that caused you to do that, or whatever it is that's going on in your life, so that you can feel this source of love that you are. And in this unity consciousness, it moves away from the ego driven needs, and like once our it kind of relates to Maslow's hierarchy. I've also been reading the an interpretation of Kabbalah recently, and they talk about how once we move past these basic needs, food and shelter, then sometimes um, we get stuck, and then we're like, okay, yeah, but I need another car, or I need a bigger house, or I need more creature comforts. And don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of this, so this is no judgment. It's just in this unity consciousness, once our basic needs are met, then we shift and we start to go, okay, like I'm in abundance. Like I can start to focus my efforts away from this self-centered, like I need to have my needs met, to more of an other-centered, where I go, okay, like do the people around me have food? Do the people around me have shelter? Um, and I'll be honest, like going through the election, I think it created a lot of sadness in my heart, because I heard some of the things that were being said about immigrants, about people who aren't of the Caucasian persuasion, and unity consciousness is realizing that we're all one, and that yes, there may be physical differences, or there may be ethnic differences or religious differences, but it's really saying we're all part of this one. And I think that's what all the teachers have taught, that this loving each other, and not making the other person an other or an outsider, but including them in this love that's endless, and in really transcending these differences, and knowing that, like a lot of times I get triggered by something that happens, or that someone does or someone says, and one thing I've really appreciated is this teaching that everyone around us is a teacher, and that what we see in them and what they agitate in us, is actually a reflection of yourself, or a reflection of parts of yourself that you have denied or exiled or judged, or pushed away, that you don't give a voice to. And so a lot of times I'm like, when someone irritates me, I'll look at them and I'll go, okay, what in me is getting triggered right now? And sometimes it is that part of myself, like, oh, they're so needy, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're showing me my needy part, because I have a needy part, and so it's really transcending these differences in personality or opinions or desires, and really viewing each other and loving each other with with more compassion, and this desire to seek understanding, because we can always say I'm right, you're wrong. Generally there's something in the middle, but this love is really seeking to understand the other person, because if we really love, and our heart is full of love, and we are moving towards this unconditional love, it's going, okay, like let me understand what happened, what got triggered in me, where they're coming from. And it doesn't mean we're going to agree, it just means that we give more space to understanding, and to compassion. And in this unity consciousness, in this unconditional love, there are no expectations, there are no judgments. It's like a lot of times that my little inner child throws a temper tantrum, and see, people don't love me, they don't understand me, they don't support me, and what I've come to realize is that people are doing the best that they know how, and sometimes the way that they love me is the way that they know how to love me. And sometimes it's going, okay, like maybe that's only getting me 50% of the way, and that's what they're able to give me, and so maybe I need to figure out how to get myself the other 50% of the way. But it's really no expectations, no judgments. Sometimes people are human and they're gonna fall short, and it's and where this unconditional love is loving a person because they share this essence of being love. It's not based on again any conditions or any actions, or what they do or don't do. And it's where this kind of love is just expansive, where this love that you give, it doesn't deplete you, it nourishes you, and it's not an expectation of getting anything back. It's because because you are love and that you want to give love to another person. And that, and, and letting go of the expectations actually frees us, because a lot of times the hurt comes from a place of, like I expected something and I got something else, and, a lot of times it's unspoken expectations. And so just letting go of these expectations and these judgments, it's like I appreciate you and for what you're, who you are, and for how you show up in the world, and that you're on this journey, and that we're both doing the best that we can. And and this is really the freedom, and I also, it's interesting. There was a forum and they were talking about, I'm retired military, if you guys didn't know that, and they were talking about brothers and sisters in arms, and someone had written about how there's a difference in the way that sometimes soldiers treat the brothers in arms versus the sisters in arms, and sometimes there can be these boundaries, and that really all we're asking for is to be treated the same. And it was interesting because someone had come on to the forum and was like, I'm not going to love my them as sisters, that's too intimate, and I'm a married man. And it just made me laugh because I've never had any romantic feelings towards my brother. And so I just thought it was interesting that we put these boundaries around love, and a lot of it is fear and insecurity, because if I'm in a secure relationship, then it doesn't matter if the person is a male or a female. I just say, it's great that you're able to share love, and I'm secure in this relationship, and love isn't possessive. Like I feel, and don't get me wrong, like I've had my heartbreaks, and but I think sometimes the most loving thing we can do is say, maybe this relationship has run its course, and if you would rather be with someone else, I think you should go for that, and then we can both be happy, you know and so, yeah, so I've kind of touched on a lot of things, but really we've been talking about letting go of the ego, letting go of the expectations, letting go of this idea that if you're not like me, then somehow we're still not the same, because there may be physical differences, but we're still the same. We're still that unending source of love. And so as we're celebrating today, and we're celebrating love, and you may be celebrating a partner, celebrating a special someone in your life, celebrating yourself as the source of love, and I would just kind of pose this question to you. Where do the boundaries exist in my life? Are there places where I can remove the boundaries so that my love flows more freely, so that I can nurture the love within myself, so that it can flow freely to the people around me, and so that I think it's like a magnet. Like once the love inside of you is nurtured and you realize that you're the source of love, and then it overflows, and then it's almost like a magnet that then just brings it back to you. And so that, that's my question. It maybe even write down below, what are some barriers? Is it the fact that I think that, oh, if I'm married, I can't have love for another person. How can I open up these barriers and really love everyone? Is it some biases that maybe I have, and I have unconscious biases, and sometimes I'm like, "Ooh, I didn't even know I felt that way," and then it kind of smacks me in the face sometimes. But yeah, if you just want to drop down below, and what are some barriers to love? What are some actions I can take to remove those barriers to love? Yeah. So until next time, let's keep spreading the love.